Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is you might be watching this this broadcast. I'm really excited today. My name is Mr. Radasa, and I'm sitting here with Mr. James Gouch, the Gouch, and Mr. Leonard Jones. And what we're talking about today is uncharted territory, and I'm sure you're going to be excited when you hear about what these two gentlemen are doing. These two gentlemen are amputees. Is that the proper way to say this?
Yes.
I think people sometimes have a difficult time with political correctness. They don't know developmentally. They just don't know. But they are amputees. And what we're going to do is we're going to get into their individual stories about how they became amputees and what they are doing now for themselves and for the community through a very, very exciting organization that Mr. Gouch has created and that they're both currently involved in. And our first question is, how did you lose your leg? We're going to give each one of them an opportunity to kind of tell you a little bit about their background. Mr. Gouch.
You know what? I'm going to give it to Leonard. Leonard is my man. Go ahead, Leonard. He's my brother.
For sure.
All right,
yes.
so go ahead.
Well, again, Leonard Jones. Everybody kind of called me Link, like the missing link, and we got that from me being an amputee. Well, I was a football player coming out of high school. Had a 4-year scholarship here in Atlanta to Morris Brown College. Was hit by a drunk driver back in '88, April 11th of 1988. I was pinned up against a light box, and the car ran into my leg and ripped it off. So that's my. I mean, I'm getting kind of emotional right here, just kind of talking about it. But things happen. They sometimes they don't happen for the best, but we have to make the best of it. Being amputees, man, is really. It's amazing because it's something that no one knows about until it actually happens to someone that's close to you.
We're going to get deeper into that.
Yeah.
Mr. Gouch, how did you become an amputee?
Well, it's funny, when you talk about 88, I lost my leg May 8th, 1988. I'm from Michigan, Highland Park, Michigan.
You two gentlemen lost your leg 1 month apart.
Yes, 1 month apart, yes.
Wow.
And I got hit between 8 and 8:30 in the evening. And I was, I can remember like it was yesterday, I was sitting on the porch and I had a car at the time, and back then they used to call me Chief, and I decided not to go get a gas can. I wanted to push this car to the gas station. And me and two other friends, we were pushing the car up the street. And my two buddies, I was in the middle, my two buddies was on the end. And everybody, still to the day, I don't understand why they hit a car. And they said that, it was a car that was coming flying up the street. And my two buddies, they got an opportunity to jump. And I was pushing the car like this, and the lady hit me in the back. I flew over the car. My car ran over my leg. Then the other lady ran over my leg trying to get away, which snatched the bottom part of my leg off. But she ran into a police car, and from there, the ambulance came. But the funny part about how I got hit, everybody, I played basketball in high school. I loved, I was athletic. But I can remember everybody come up, they said, "Oh, Gouch is going to die," because I was laying in a puddle of blood. And I can remember when I looked back, the only thing I could do, I looked up and I said, my basketball career is over. And I can remember my hand being like this, and everybody was trying to run so I couldn't see it. But when I looked back, I seen the leg gone. Then my grandmother ran up and they said, "You're gonna die." I can remember looking at my grandmother, and and I said, "Grandma," I said, "I ain't going nowhere." I knew at that time that I wasn't going anywhere. My grandmother walked away, and I just sat there, and I just knew I wasn't going to die. I passed out when they put me in the ambulance, but I just knew I wasn't going anywhere. And another part of mine got hit. And I can remember being in the hospital, and they run, "Oh, we got to hurry and get him in the emergency room." But I thought it was a guy who got hit with me, Chuck, but it was me. I'm sitting back there and I'm praying for Chuck. "Oh God, I hope Chuck is okay." But I was the one that was dying. And that's how I lost my leg.
Okay. You kind of touched on your basketball career was over. and both of you got emotional just telling your story. So how have you been able to cope? Was there any special person that came into your life? Was it any special activity that you took part in that allowed you to cope with this traumatic experience?
Well, I can't say a special person for myself, but it made me wake up in my belief and my faith in God. Because that was the person, because this is the thing. And I actually got my degree in exercise science. So I'm like in full throttle with it. I even went and I sat with a lot of prosthetic repairers and that creates these prosthetic devices, and learned how to actually make my own casts and take these prosthetic devices apart and put them back together. And the reason why I did that is because it's a lot of times you have to just go, when something goes wrong, you have to go to the prosthetic office. That took out a lot of time away from me. So what I did was, mom used to joke about it all the time. I used to carry these tools with me, and they used to be in my pocket. So I don't matter where I was at, if I had a problem with my leg, I was like literally stop and fix it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, and I cope with it. I still work out. I still run. I became a strength and conditioning coach. I work with the Wounded Warriors Project, with actually military guys that are disabled and actually stand in the military. I show them how to train. So that's how I cope with it, by helping other amputees see the light, where it's like we still have a chance. It's not over.
Absolutely. Mr. Gouch, how have you dealt with your traumatic experience?
Well, mine is quite different. It took me a little while longer. I got hit in '88, and for the first 3 years of my life, because I had like things that happened to me when I was younger. I seen my father get murdered in front of me when I was 4. He came back from Vietnam, a guy stabbed me, so literally I was in between his leg when he pulled a knife out and died. So I dealt with a lot of stuff coming up. So I had to lose my leg. I kind of had like a little issue. If you want to say, with God, why did you take my daddy? So now go from why you take my father to why you took my leg. So I kind of picked up drinking on the way. Got married early. When I was 20, and I had kids back to back. So I had 4 boys, 1 year apart from each other. So it was, it was kind of rough for me. But what happened was, one day, me and my wife at the time, we had 2 kids, and it was a guy that was rolling across the street in a wheelchair, and it was the first disabled guy that I had seen. I thought I was the only disabled guy in the whole wide world, And when I seen this guy, I literally stopped the car, got out, and we talked. The name was Do-Ride. And after I met him, I started going to this gym called Coleman Young Recreation Center in Detroit. And for like 2 years, he had tried to get me to come in. He said something about wheelchair basketball. I said, man, I'm not playing out no wheelchair. I used to play standing up. And so one day, I went in, I dropped him off, and I had to use the bathroom. I went in, and I seen these guys in a wheelchair. I mean, they shoot long range shots. And just happened with 3 Olympia guys in there. And I said, wow, man, I can do that. And, I showed off. I got in the hospital chair, and they had literally sport chairs. I thought I was going to be able to get in the chair and just be able to do what I did standing up. And from there, a couple guys, they kind of shook me a little bit. And from there, I was determined that I wanted to be one of the top guys to play wheelchair basketball. And for the next year, I got a wheelchair. And that saved my life, because up to that point, I didn't know if I really wanted to live or not, regardless if I was married with kids. I was cool during the day. My family was real hard on me about, getting a job, getting this, but they didn't know the part. And for me, I didn't get a prosthetic leg for 4 years, so I got denied the disability. I couldn't get on welfare to get a leg, so it was rough for me.
This, I think, leads us into the really exciting part. And one of the things I want to touch on, I don't know if either one of you caught, but the dichotomy of you drawing closer to your spirituality,
right,
and you feeling as if God had abandoned you.
Right.
Did you ever feel that God had abandoned you at any point?
I did. And then at one point, my dad set up it's like a meeting with our pastor, and I was going through it. I was like, man, this thing's kind of hard, man. But again, I put up that wall like nobody knew what was going on.
Right.
So I just say, Dad, I just need to talk to somebody. So he set this thing up with our pastor, man, and we went to the meeting. We were sitting there, and the pastor said he couldn't meet with me. So I'm like, I'm kind of thrown right now. Like right now, I really need somebody to talk to.
Right.
You might. Right now, I'm looking at you as being my spiritual guy to kind of guide me right now.
Right.
He did not see me, and I felt just like James felt, the Gouch. I felt like, hey, and God has really turned His back on me. Here I am. I actually had an opportunity to go to the next level to play pro football, because I was in college when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already feeling crappy about that, and here I am coming to my pastor.
Did you ever have that conversation? Till this day, you still have not had that conversation.
Never had it. You know when this was? Back in '88. I remember the date.
Mm-hmm.
It was June 16th, 1988. I promise you, to this day, I stopped going to church. To his church, I was mad, pissed.
Now, what about your spirituality? Did you ever, or do you still have moments where you feel as if you just don't understand, or have you gotten over that?
Yeah. Well, mine was a turnaround, because once I found wheelchair basketball, then I ran across other people, and seeing these guys were basically paralyzed, and then I started, I had got a lot of gratitude for what God left me, and I still had a lot of struggles, 'cause I kept wondering, why I got denied, and I had a big jealousy of people who had got SSI. So I still drank for a while. God, why this person was able to get SSI and I wasn't. I'm seeing people that, finger gone. God, my leg gone. Now I got a family still being, denied. So
Can you briefly tell the extent of your damage so that people understand what you actually lost?
Well, in May 8th, 1988, I lost my leg. July 9th of 1991, probably because of depression, everything I was going through. I was drinking, and I ran into a pole, and I lost my eye, and I kind of messed up my back. But through all of that, society still say that I wasn't disabled, and come to find out, I had a touch of depression and everything because of that, and because seeing all, my father died, now my leg, now my eye. And just not having the support that I needed. I had a lot of pastors. I started going to this particular church and really loved the pastor, because he told me that I was going to be okay. So I had the quality people, but I just wasn't right, because the people that was around me, I look back now, I've been amputee 31 years, and I seen how, like, my mother-in-law, who was dead and gone, who told me get a job. I look back now, and the thing was, they did the best they could. Here she going, I'm married to her daughter, 4 kids. But they just wanted the best for me, but they didn't know it at the time. They didn't know what it felt like to be an amputee, and certain things, being an amputee, people can say certain things, they think that you're okay, but you could damage.
Well, both of you became very introverted, so you weren't displaying what you were truly going through.
Exactly.
A lot of times at nighttime, you're crying, you're going through all of that.
Yes, so true.
What I'd like to do, I'm going to take a break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to really touch on really exciting. And now we get into the exciting portion of where we're going with this. Mr. Gouch here has created an organization called Amputees Are Awesome. And when he walked into our office and we talked about his organization, how he wanted to establish this organization, what he wanted to do going forward to be of assistance to other people in the community that were also amputees, I got excited about it. We started working on the website together, and I want Mr. Gouch to tell you about what is the mission statement for Amputees Are Awesome. And well, let's start by you telling us how you met Leonard from the conversation that you and I were having just last week, and then bring us up to speed with what you're doing going forward.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was on my way to the bank, and I was calling you to set up a time to do an interview like we're doing now, because I wanted to get the word out on my vision this year on creating jobs for people, for amputees and people with disabilities, raising money for people to get prosthetic limbs, and our conference call support group. And while I was on the phone with you, I had turned around, I got out the car, and I had seen Leonard get out the car, and I seen like he had a little limp. Being an amputee, every time I see somebody with a limp, first thing is I wanted to say amputee too. But I kind of watched Leonard when he got out, and I seen a couple steps, and I always look at like the frame of how you bend your leg. I asked him, I said, excuse me, I said, you're an amputee. And he said, yeah, and I said, is you below or above, which is AK is above and below me. Yes. Okay. And when he said, well, he was an AK, I'm an AK, I got real excited. I ran over to him, and I introduced him. I said, hey, I'm James Gouch, I got an organization called Amputees Are Awesome, and he told me who he was, and we kind of hit it off like right away. We went back and forth. It was almost like we didn't want to leave each other.
Right,
we both had something to do, and I just happened to have you on the phone. And right away, I knew that I wanted to do an interview with Leonard. Even though I was trying to set up an appointment with you, I was so excited that I wanted to do something with him. We had talked about Florida for a little piece. I told him about me going to Florida, and he was telling me he was from Miami, which I got excited again. Then he was,
Miami, well, not just Miami, but Florida has a high population of amputees.
Yes, real big. And I just happened to be going down there February 6th to meet with an organization called One Leg Up. So that's how we got to going back and forth. And it's an organization, one of the organizations I'll be donating to that help kids who that had amputation, either born or had.
Now, I think that you said a lot, and you kind of skated over some really, really important things, but I just want to confirm that I was on the phone, and the universe does things sometimes that you can't even understand. And even in my skepticism, I'm saying, man, he probably had this guy sitting on his side, and I'm sitting on the phone, and I said, ain't no way he just met another amputee right there while I'm talking to him on the phone about an interview. And so that's the universe. That means this is what we're supposed to be doing. On why you wanted to, number one, raise money for people with no resources to get prosthetics. Number two, counseling individuals that have gone through a traumatic experience like losing a leg or an arm or whatever the case may be. And number three, the job creation aspect. Your own personal experiences that you had difficulty getting your own first prosthetic. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, the first piece was I met a guy in Southfield, Michigan by the name of Burl Walters. He seen me, I was on crutches, and his first question was, he just happened to be, he had a disability, he had a messed up arm. And he asked me, he said, well, why do you don't have a leg? I was telling him about, I got denied of Social Security, couldn't get a leg through social service. And what he did was he told me to go to a prosthesist to get fitted for a leg, and he said, well, send him a bill. So my first leg that I got was purchased by an attorney in Southfield, Michigan.
How much did that cost?
The first one, it was $17,500, something in the $17,000. Wasn't the best leg, because I didn't know, but it was a decent leg for the first one. Matter of fact, it was probably one of the best legs I ever had. I'm like Len, I was able to tinker with that one a little bit.
Right.
The second piece on the counseling or supporting another person that's disabled, I met a guy named Darrell. We had a mall called Northland Mall, and I can remember walking on crutches before I got my leg, and Darrell was the first amputee that I ever seen in my life. And when I went to this guy, just being around him, being an amputee, changed my life forever. This was before I got a leg. I seen him probably about a year prior to me getting a leg, but me just being around him, hey man, what happened to your leg? Even though he was below me, what happened to your leg? How do it feel? And I found out that Darrell was just like I was. I'm reflecting even right now because Darrell had a lot of issues with his leg, but I kept wondering, why did he want to hang out with me? Now I'm thinking I'm helping him, he's helping me, but looking back, we was helping each other because he was around another amputee and he probably felt good helping me out. But what he did was, me seeing him, and when I got my first prosthetic leg, I said, well, when I get this leg, I'm gonna be walking within a week. And I never forget, you know, my neighbors seeing me when I was in Detroit, and they said, well, we didn't want to discourage you, you know, because we knew that it was going to take you a little while longer to get used to that leg. But when I got that leg, watching that, even though I didn't learn a proper gait, you know, that's learning how to actually walk with the prosthetic leg, but me watching the rail gave me that support and that encouragement that I need to walk. I would start walking within 3 days. When I got my leg 3 days later, I was riding on the bus, never used crutches again, and never went to therapy. So that's a big help. You know, one of my things is I'm going to Belize in March, and you know, one of my things, not only do I want to help them get legs, but you know, I want to be an encouragement to other people that's amputees, that you know, that they can do this. You know, because it's hard being an amputee.
Before you go on, I want to ask Leonard, how did you get your first prosthetic?
Praise God, I was still up under my dad's insurance.
Okay.
Because I was in college at the time.
Okay.
So that's how I got my first one. But after that, came working, man. I went through what they call vocational rehab that helped me with my next prosthetic. Again, then I started working, you know, getting better jobs.
Do you remember how much it cost?
Oh yeah. I can tell you the price of the one back then in the 80s. It was about 17.
So are they considerably higher now?
This one right here that I have on is $42,000.
Wow. And this is your what, second, third?
This I go through them real quick because of my high activity. So every year they come out, well, actually every 6 months they come out with a new prosthetic device that I actually test. This one right here is called the c.e.o 3. So this is like I had this one for about 2 years now.
Can you show us? Can you guys show us the prosthetic?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see if we can get this on camera. You might have to.
Mine is called an Autobot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is the C-leg. It's a computer, and mine is 37.5.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, with mine, I actually have a covered skin over it.
Okay.
But on the inside, it's similar to James' arm.
I wanted to do, because I think this is very important and people see this, I wanted to get an up-close visual on the prosthetics that we were just talking about. So, Mr. James Gouch, this is his prosthetic. And what would you call this particular prosthetic?
This is an Autobot.
An Autobot.
Yes.
And the Autobot.
I don't know, say C-leg. Yes.
And retails for?
Mine was 37.5.
37.5.
Yes.
And Leonard, yours is?
It's called a c.e.o 3. It's similar to the C-leg. It's actually on top of the C-leg, right under another one called X3. This runs about between $42,000 and $45,000. And I also have like, if you can see this right here, this actually is like hair that they put on there with a cover, where it can actually look like my other leg. I just put both of them together, so it's real similar.
Wow, amazing. So back when you both had your accidents, they were averaging about $17,000.
Yes.
And now we're talking in 30s and 40s. So it's very important that we make people aware not only of the cost, but if you don't have the insurance, an organization like Amputees Are Awesome does what exactly?
Okay, well, what we do is we raise the fund to help individuals to get prosthetic limbs. We don't actually make them, but I work with a couple companies that actually make the leg. One is down in Orlando, which is one leg up, and presently I'm working with a company that go internationally in Brazil that help people in Belize that don't have any type of insurance at all to get legs. As a matter of fact, me and Leonard's going over there to volunteer to actually make the legs.
Okay.
Yes.
And so this is really, really exciting. We're going to be coming back to you with more information, more news, more exciting progress that's taking place, not just with Amputees Are Awesome, but other individuals in the community that are doing positive things. Anything that you guys would like to say as we wrap this up?
You know, I'm just glad the opportunity to get this stuff out here, you know, this way, because amputees are people just like everybody else.
Right.
We're looked over. It's a lot of amputees in this world that don't have the proper insurance to get prosthetic devices. So that's why, you know, me and James hooked up to get them the opportunity to do this and counsel them as well.
Okay. Any last words, Mr. Gouch?
My word is, I just want to get the word out, is that, you know, we are in great need of great support on raising funds to help people to get prosthetic limbs. That's my main mission, is to help people that don't have any type of way or any type of resources to get their legs. So, you know, I started a nonprofit called, you know, as you know, Amputees Are Awesome.
What is the website?
Okay, the website is amp-u-tees.com. That's amp-u-tees.com.
amp-you-tees.com.
Yes.
And on that site you can donate as well as you can purchase goods.
Yes, you can purchase, and what we're going to have, we got a couple products we're going to have on it, but right now we got Amputees Are Awesome tote bags that you can purchase, or you can become one of our monthly donors to help us on our mission of helping people to get prosthetic limbs.
Thank both of you gentlemen very much. I'm very excited to be a part of this project, and I'm looking forward to what we do in the very near future.
Thank you.
Thank you.